Okay. So here we are for part 3 of the September 27th SEO 101 course. So if you guys have questions, I can see you on Skype. I can see you guys joining here. Hi, Jordan. How you doing? I hear you're back at home now.
Yeah, just got home.
Fantastic. I'm glad you arrived safe and sound. It was very nice seeing you in Victoria.
Yeah, man, it was way fun. Had a great time.
That was fantastic. Okay, so if you guys have questions, go ahead and type them in the chat if you're watching live on YouTube, or ask them here in the recorded part 3 of the September 27th SEO 101. Again, I have exactly half an hour because that martial arts dojo you saw there in the video, I have to go teach there in exactly half an hour. I have to spring up and leave. So I know, Michael, you had more questions, so go ahead, join the Hangout if you want to join if you want, or ask it here in the YouTube. Oh, you're already there. Okay. So Michael asks in the YouTubes, in last month's class, I mentioned that I have done 150,000 links now, and you have not seen a problem doing 100% exact match anchor text. So you were saying that we don't need to vary our keyword anchor text anymore for the keywords we want to rank for. So I want to check with you on the following. Sure thing. From what I'm seeing, he's referring to me. Even though Google is not logarithmically penalizing for that today, wouldn't Google start penalizing for it possibly tomorrow? And ... I'm sure he's going to ask more on that. For this again, when more and more SEOs discover this and start using it again in mass. Yeah, no, I caught part of that question in the last one. And I answered a bit of it, but I'll answer it again. It's possible. We always have to watch. So that's what Quora is so good for. When we see Quora suddenly correlating that as a huge drop, exact match anchor text in your backlinks is a huge drop. That's when that'll be the sign. That'll be our canary in the coal mine that all of a sudden we see there's a huge problem there. And he goes on to say, and also, what about a competitor seeing your anchor text profile with all exact match anchor text and turns you into Google? Yeah, that's a good point. That can happen too. But that's why I'm saying in testing, I don't see a problem with it. And again, my whole philosophy of linking is it has to look natural. So it really depends on what niche you're in. So I can see what you're saying. It could be a risk if you want to rank for something that people would never search or would never be a natural anchor text. Like, I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but you know when you see it. If you're like, oh, that's clearly just it's a scale, it's a shades of gray question, and it's a subjective question. So whenever I see people doing an anchor text where it's like, oh, they're just trying to rank for that, and also they're selling links on this site, and also it's clearly they're selling links on the site, and they have links on chiropractic and lawyer and herbal pills, all these hot niches, and payday loans, and all these hot niches that people are trying to rank for. The more and more it looks like that, the more and more you definitely have to be careful. So in testing, I always use 100% exact match anchor text. I've never varied it. I've never seen a problem with it. However, that being said, I've definitely seen. I would definitely not recommend clients do that. And the whole thing you have to do is make it look natural, make it look organic. The question is, do you have plausible deniability? Plausible deniability for links is the most important. Sadly, all those notes I made, I can't save that page. But when it comes to links, you want plausible deniability. That's the most important thing. So you might want to go less than 100% exact match query anchor text. But remember, when I'm building links, so here's your index page, here's your money pages. I'm not sending all the links to the index page. That's not what I'm doing, unless the index page is a ranking page. I'm sending links to the target money pages I want to send to. And then in that case, sometimes you only need like 10 links, you only need like 6 links, you only need like 7 links pointing right at the money page. And so if I make these all exact match query, it's not such a big deal. It's not like you don't need 10,000 links anymore necessarily. I'm getting like PA 30 to PA 50 links from my blogs, and that sometimes is all you need to rank this page on, whatever it is. So it can even out. It can balance out. And so you need plausible deniability at the end of the day. But if I'm just getting 10 links or 6 links that are, higher PA, then it doesn't really matter so much. So it doesn't look that bad. It's not like I'm getting 10,000 links all pointing at the index page. That's not necessarily always what's going on there. So let's see if you have any other questions. If you have any other questions, guys, go ahead, ask them here in the YouTube. Sorry for having such a breadcrumb of classes you need to follow for that. My Mac normally doesn't crash, but it did this time. So like I said there, Michael, and until I see more questions, I'll keep talking about yours. When I'm doing the linking, it's all about plausible deniability and building 10 links or so, or maybe sometimes more, maybe 100, but they're pointing at the money page is the important thing. You do not want to link to here and then link down to the page, because then this, again, you can if you want to, but you have to put a link right in the, and this is the index page here. You want to put the link right in the main content, and that has to link right out to the money page. And you're losing some link juice in this link, which is why I say not to do it. My testing is all linking directly to the money page. And so I don't need to do 2K links here and then filter it through and lose a bunch of link juice. You can do that. It's just not as optimal. And again, we're not doing SEO gambling. We're trying to do SEO optimization. So we're trying to do what's optimal. And so that's why I'm using high authority, real readership, real blog links. Or at least that's what I'm trying to go for. My linking guy might not always do that, but that's what I'm shooting for. And they're higher PA kind of links, and preferably higher, preferably they're higher trust flow links as well that we're doing. Preferably. And so that they should be less spammy in that regard. And then I'm pointing them directly to the money page. And so it doesn't really matter if they're all exact match query, because it's spread out a little bit more. So, and it's not so much of a footprint. But again, it all comes down to how risk averse you are. Again, if you are very risk averse, then maybe you might want to mix it up a little bit and then use partial match. But I would go mostly exact match query. I don't see a problem with doing that. And if in doubt, then you can go partial match query. But in testing, I did this 100%. So I would say like 80% at least. But it's totally up to you what you want to do. I might even go a little bit higher than that. And in testing, like I said, I used 100% exact match query in testing. And I never bubbled up the manual team, never had any demotions, never had any problems. So I don't think actually Google is tracking this as a factor. And remember, you asked, well, what if they see a bunch of SEOs are doing it? Well, yeah, they could see a bunch of SEOs are doing it, and they might decide to go after us for that. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to, because remember, they need relevancy. The most important factor is relevancy. And the best way for them to tell relevance is in 3 places. Like, where do they get relevance? They get relevance, 1, from on page. They get it 2 from on site. They get it 3 from off page semantic. So that includes the content plus links, plus the anchor text, that is. And then finally, they get it from user clicks. User click loop of SERP to page. So that's where they're getting their relevance from. So to say that they can just turn off anchors, which is a very important factor in relevance and them determining relevance, remember their AI is young and stupid. And so they got to give their AI a boost. To just turn this off, it's not necessarily so easy. It's not necessarily so easy to do. This should say SERP. SERP to page. So it's not necessarily so easy to do. So they might start tracking it. They could do anything. But until such time in testing, I saw no problem going 100%. And you can also do partial match query. And all that's going to do is that's going to limit. Here's your pie graph of what Google's going to rank you for. And that is all based off of all of this information. All of this information here is going to make you rank for 100%. And so the more you go exact match query in your pie graph, the more they're going to rank you for what you want to rank for, your exact match query. The more you go partial match, is the more the pie is going to just start to eat away, and they're going to start ranking you for partial match query. For semantic that is not on your exact match query of what you want to rank for. So the more you do this and anywhere here, the more you're going to get this in your ranking, and the more they're going to TankBrain is going to try you for different stuff. And so the more you want to limit this, the more you want to go for exact match query in all this stuff here, and that's the more you're going to increase your pie. For just try me for this exactly, Google. Do not try me for variations or for differences. I hope that makes sense. All right, let's see. Do we have any more questions? Jordan, if you got any questions or you want to speak up, go ahead. And also, guys, in the YouTube, let's see if we have more questions here. Oh,
yeah,
we do.
I would say, do you think that maybe the content around the guest posts would be enough if you're using a branded anchor, though? So if you have like Dallas Plumbers is in the content of the guest post, and then you have a branded anchor, do you think at some point they're going to see that that's enough?
Yeah, in all of my testing of what I did for single variable experiment tests, we found that the content, popping that content and having your backlink page based all around the exact match query of what you want to rank for is of vital importance. And this boosted the relevance of the link and the power of the link at least times 3 to 5. We tried a click here backlink, it did nothing. We tried an exact match query backlink, it went up maybe 1 spot. This made it go up maybe 1 spot in total. This made it go up 3 to 5 spots. So it was 3 to 5 times more powerful to pop the backlink. And so PA, of course, is going to make a difference where you're getting your links and how much juice they got. But the semantic also made a huge difference as well. Oh, and then we got a bunch of questions here. Good. Okay. So let me see here. So would you do 100% anchor text for your white hat clients for a site that is not spammy? Yeah. So like I said, I answered that question. Go back there. He says he sees people selling a story on Huffington Post for a price. Yeah. Huffington Post links are not so great. They're no follow. They're not that high PA. Although I see no follow links boosting, and it doesn't have to be a super high PA to be a good link. But I really, really have to stress how important this part here is, how important this was, and how much it boosted to be popping your backlinks. I lean towards this. I think this is more important, in my opinion. Like I would go for a PA 30 link that was popped over a PA 50 link that wasn't. That's how important I think it is. Semi asks, what is the best way to consistently monitor keyword rankings? I use Search Console because Search Console is what people actually saw on Google. You can also use Microsite Masters or any of those kinds of ones that will give you kind of a graph. But I use Search Console because it's actually what people saw. Michael asks again, does a no follow link from Huffington Post to your site, is it a good or a bad idea from a risk mitigation perspective? Again, I mean, so many people have been using Huffington Post links. I don't think it's all that great of a link. This is like another one of those questions is, would you do this? Would you do that? My answer is always, I would always do the way I tested it. And what I tested in terms of linking is high profile blog links that have high PA and have a real readership, if at all possible, or at least they have real traffic, is what I tested, and that's always what I would go with. and I would link directly to the money page site. The money page. I would link directly to the money page, and I would go hi exact match query, and I would pop the backlink, and I would make sure that it's the anchor text is pretty rich, and it always has to have plausible. At the end of the day, no matter what I did, it always have to have plausible deniability when it bubbles up to the manual team. So it doesn't like on real blogs not selling links as much as possible. That's what I want. That they look like at least they're not selling links. So how much does the Huffington Post fit into that? I don't know. I haven't looked recently, but that's what I would do. Simon asks, if the page is popped anyway, is there any need to have exact match links? Yes, there's an incredible need for the reasons I just explained. And he says, I thought RankBrain looked at the page as a whole, so click here for cool red apples we found versus red apples would be the same. We haven't tested that. Click here for cool red apples would be a partial match versus red apples is exact match. So click here for cool red apples would be a partial match, and red apples would be the exact match. We tested this. But yeah, you could do the partial match as well because it looks more natural. And again, you want plausible deniability. You want it to look more natural. So that wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing either. Michael has another question. He asks, for keywords that are not extremely competitive but highly profitable, I saw someone advocating registering several domains, and that with multiple sites that are easy to rank for, you can dominate the first page of Google with multiple rankings on these different sites. Is that a good idea or a bad idea? And further, does Google have a rule or a penalty for someone setting up several sites in the same niche in order to dominate the first page rankings with all of their sites? The answer is yes. They do have a penalty for that. So yeah, you can register multiple domain names. You definitely can do that. I have a test running for that right now, and the single variable test proves that if you do not hide the registration information, and they're too similar in terms of spammy, in terms of like duplicate content, then Google will definitely restrict all of them. So yes, you can do that, and there is an algorithm to try to catch you. So when you're doing that, you definitely have to make sure that all the sites have a different registration, different search console, different host, all those different kinds of things to make them look like they're owned by different people. And then they can't be the same content. They have to be a different design, and they have to be different content. But after you do that, essentially those are doorway sites. But after you do that, if Google, as long as Google doesn't catch you, then yeah, you're laughing because you can set up different sites and have them all ranking. The pros are that you have different sites and you get more billboards on the highway and you get more traffic at the end of the day. The cons are that Google can catch you, and now instead of maintaining one site, now you have to maintain 3 sites. And so it can be done, but it's just 3 times as expensive. And it has a risk that Google can catch you. Michael goes on to ask another question. He says, I got an email touting that blog comments were doing well again for SEO, which was helping them in rankings, and they were not selling any blog commenting service. So what is your take from a risk mitigation perspective? Will blog comments hurt your site or not? Yes, they will. We've done 2 separate single variable tests. Actually, we did 1 single variable test, and I did 1 in the field test. And both of them showed that blog comments will definitely hurt your rankings, and you don't have to do a lot of blog commenting to do it. So no, I would definitely not do blog commenting. Again, we just did a single variable test and a field test, and both of those ended up being a negative, definite bad sign for rankings. In fact, I had it on my screen previously, but it's this one here. You want to see what blog comments do? This one here, you know what? I'm just going to share my whole screen so I could just change. So this one here, this was blog comments. These were comments links that caused this. And so I'm not sure what I'm going to do. It's been over a month, as you can see. It's been since August 16th to September 24th. And so what I'm going to do here is I think I'm going to I might add more links to spread it out. or I might disavow to see if the disavow actually has a use, and I will be the first one to sing the praises if it does. But I doubt it, but we'll find out. So that's what that came from there. So let me start reading here. Semi asks, can you permanently save keyword rankings on Search Console? It seems when I enter a search terms, they are not saved, and it was looking into microsite masters. In the new Search Console, you can go back 16 months, and if you ever want to save it, you can export. You can export to Excel, so that's how you would save keywords in Search Console, is export it to Excel. Chica asks, how do you use Search Console for local rankings when they always seem to give the position of a national term? Or is there a way to show it local? That's not true, Chica, at least as far as I know. In Search Console, they do show exactly what people saw. And so it will show local rankings. It will show national rankings. It's showing exactly what they saw. So it does show accurate local rankings. Chet asks, for getting a brand into the knowledge graph, would I or Jordan recommend buying a Wikipedia page, or there might be simpler path to the Holy Land? Go ahead, Jordan. I heard you.
I'll probably let you answer this one because we're kind of going over this in Greensboro.
Sure. Sure. So we might be talking about this in Greensboro, but my answer to this is yes, you can get a Wikipedia page. They definitely do use Wikipedia, or at least they did use Wikipedia for the knowledge graph. But you definitely have to flesh out your entity. There's other ways of doing it that I'm sure Jordan's going to talk about in Greensboro. If you don't know what we're talking about, NFG is the NFG boys, Brad, Mike, and those guys. They're holding a conference in Greensboro, October 20th, around there. 20th, 21st, I believe the conference is. And it's in Greensboro, North Carolina, or is it South Carolina?
North Carolina.
North Carolina, right.
Yeah.
So you can buy tickets for that. Just search that out.
But I would say on a national level, that's kind of stuff that we're going over. But in regards to local, it really depends on how you're building the entity around your local brand. So that would be, for example, let's say you're going after locksmith in San Francisco. That's when you see those one pack results. You have gone to a point where you've actually branded the local query. So that's why you're seeing those one pack. Technically, that's a knowledge graph result. So there is ways of doing that, but it does take quite a bit of time. And as we kind of go through stuff with Josh, I can show you guys a couple of tips for that part.
Sweet. That's awesome. Thank you very much, Jordan.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on what you're trying to set the entity for. You're trying to set it for a local site, or you're trying to set it for a national brand. Chet continues. He says it's local that he's concerned about. He has in the one pack for one keyword, but not all of them, and he has no idea how to get more of them set up.
So you have one in the one pack? You have one keyword in a one pack?
It seems to me that's what he's saying. He says we have them in one pack for one keyword, but not all of the keywords.
Yeah, I would be interested to see if it's is it a branded like local query, like a San Francisco locksmith is the business name, for example?
He says yeah.
Yeah, so if that's the case, it's going to be very difficult for you to get it like locksmith San Francisco, California, because they have Google thinks that your brand is San Francisco locksmith. So it's going to be hard to have it go the other way around. I've never seen it go the other way around personally.
Any idea what he could do for that, or?
It would have to be it's kind of tricky because it's almost like you're building another brand for that. So I would probably start changing some of your branded sites in your citations to try and target that other term, and then you may have to start using some branded anchors for the GMB, which I'll go over in the chat, but there's different things that you can do. One would be having to go sending links directly to the GMB profile. But I'll cover that in the chat.
Cool. All right. Thanks very much, Jordan. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Jordan is super cool, by the way. We did meet in Victoria, and we had a burger. It was fantastic.
We did. We did.
He's equally as handsome in person as he is in that picture there. Chica asks, does anyone have a reliable way of ranking in the map pack for a different city than the searcher? Again, that's kind of a Jordan question there.
A reliable way. We're kind of short on time, Chica. I know Josh only has a couple of minutes, so I'll go over that in the group.
Sure. So basically, Chica's asking, I think, people in like a different city, but they want to find hotels in whatever else, some other city.
I mean, a lot of it kind of depends on how people are searching too, especially for local. Like in Australia, for example, like there could be 100 suburb cities around the city of Sydney, but most people are searching for hotels in Sydney, even though the listing might be like 15 miles away from the central point. So a lot of it has to do with the traffic and where people are searching from and how they're actually doing the search.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, Victoria, just speaking of my own town here, is actually made up of a bunch.
Yeah, that's a great example. I should use that one.
Of 6 little cities like Saanich, North Saanich, Victoria.
Yep.
Which you probably noticed when you came here. So
yeah.
So like trying to use an old GPS, it doesn't work if you just say Victoria.
Yep.
Okay, I do have a few minutes left. So Jordan, you're absolutely right. I got to speed it up here. So Michael has another question. Do sites that have a high DA end up translating into a high PA? The reason I ask is I was looking at a free classified ad site with high DA, and the classified ads were 30 plus. Would advertising your business in free classified site with 30 PA be good links or considered spammy? Again, Michael, I would consider that spammy. Yes, high DA sites typically mean they're going to have high PA on the pages, assuming that the index page is filtering, is linking to their pages directly or as close as possible, and that page rank of the index page is flowing down to page rank of the sub pages. But I wouldn't want. I mean, if there's, it depends on the classified site. I mean, a classified site could have like 100 links on the page, and they're all pretty spammy. And so, if this is for local ranking, I might try it. Maybe if it seems like it's a really good place for people who are ranking high and local. But classified links are not the kind of links I would normally get. Again, for all the reasons that I mentioned of what's going on there. So there we go, guys. Again, I apologize for having all the different videos. I'd like to thank Jordan for popping in there and answering some local questions at the end. But I've got to run, so I'm going to share all these videos in our folder later on. And again, if you have any questions, ask them in the Skype chat. And if you have any questions for Melissa, by all means, just check to see if I add her or not. But if I don't, you can always email me as well, and I can always forward those questions off to her. So thanks again, guys, for asking. And if you have any more questions, ask them in the Skype chat, and we'll see you next time.